shifting our focus to the other big story. Is it the end of Twitter? Well, the reason that we're asking this is because of what is happening at Twitter as we speak. If you look at some of the top trends on Twitter all day long, it has been hashtag RIP Twitter and hashtag is it all over, also hashtag end of Twitter. Now, there seems to be a mass exodus at Twitter. This after Twitter's new boss Elon Musk asked employees to commit to working quote-unquote hardcore or leave. Elon Musk demanded an 80-hour work week, no remote work, and literally minutes to decide whether they wanted to stay on or not. Looks like most employees do not want to work hardcore and are now resigning, taking a 3-month severance package. In the fear of a sabotage now, Twitter then alerted employees that all office buildings were being closed and even badge access was being suspended. The email that was sent to employees said this, and I'm quoting, "Offices will now reopen on the 21st of November. In the meantime, please continue to comply with company policy by refraining from discussing confidential company information on social media with the press or elsewhere." But now fearing that at this rate there'll be literally no one left to work at Twitter, Elon Musk has also softened his policy from work at home policy. There is now a real sense that Elon and company are trying very hard in these last hours to try and convince people to stay. The question is, will people actually agree? But while all this is happening, Elon Musk, true to his nature, is unmoved. So the larger question is, can Elon Musk actually make a turnaround? We'll have to stay tuned. So before I bring in our guests, let's quickly give you an overview of what really happened at Twitter today. Resignations rolled in post Elon Musk's mail. The mail, as I said, had given very clear ultimatum to the employees. It almost looked like a mass exodus. Musk had set the deadline for employees on mail. Many of them decided that they had had enough and they will go forward with the severance package. Now, the staff was asked to commit to a quote-unquote hardcore work, or they could actually quit the company. As I said, many decided to take the severance package and leave. What happened post that? Because then Twitter officials who were still left, they started to worry about a sabotage. So the offices were shut. The badges were also suspended. All of this happened in a matter of hours. But then again, realizing that at this rate, will there anyone actually be left to work at Twitter? Elon Musk then softened the tone as far as the work from home policy and others were concerned. There was also reports that the senior leadership is in a huddle and they were then being asked to retain talent. With how things are now moving at Twitter, the question is it the end of Twitter? Let me now bring in our guests, two very special guests joining me this evening. We have the former CEO of Twitter India, Manish Maheshwari, and we also have the former head of news at Twitter India, Rahil Khurshid. Good to have both of you on the broadcast with us. Manish, I'd like to begin with you. One, how do you assess what really has happened all through the day? More importantly, you also spoke about understanding a distinction about the people who are using Twitter. You said that there are content creators and then there is the other set. Why do you feel it's important to understand that distinction?
Yeah, so let's talk about the day today, right? So it was pretty chaotic, and what has happened today is unprecedented. I think the way the email went out, but the way the ultimatum was given, and also quite disrespectful of this email to go out to people, because
True.
it's not about just working long hours or working hardcore in his own language, but also about respecting people's choice in terms of where they are their best in terms of their creativity and their output. So I think that all goes down the drain, and I think it also reverses the culture that Twitter had, which was a lot of independence was given to people to work from home. In fact, when COVID started, Twitter was the first company to allow people to work from wherever and also forever. And I think all that now is reversed. And it's no surprising that many people have chosen to resign. And because anyone with who is skillful and has any kind of competence would rather work at a different company at their own terms than to put up with this. To your second question about distinction between content creators and consumers. So clearly, I think this whole blue tick and verification has caused a lot of chaos and also a lot of confusion. But one thing you have to remember is that Twitter is a two-sided network. On one side, you have content creators who create content. These are eminent personalities who choose to share updates and news about them, who choose their opinions. And on the other side, you have content consumers who then follow these people, show their love and appreciation, and consume this kind of content. And I think the platform brings the two sides together and gets the flywheel going. And I think the network becomes better and better, as more creators attract more consumers, and more consumers in turn attract more creators, right? So if you equalize or level set the whole playing field, it's almost like saying, you remove the distinction between buyers and sellers on Amazon. So would Amazon remain Amazon if buyers and sellers are all the same, right? So you have to have some distinction. And if you don't have the distinction, someone who is an eminent personality, someone who has amazing content to share, why would they share on this platform as compared to other platforms? So the incentive for them to be a content creator comes down. At the same time, for a user, one, they have a problem figuring out who is the real person who to follow. And secondly, how do they show their sort of followership and love? And I think the other metrics also.
True. The verification is a whole different problem to discuss. But Rahil, I want to bring you in the conversation. From what you read on Twitter today and various other reports of what is expected of an employee at Twitter under Elon Musk, how different is it from your time at Twitter?
Very, very different. As Manish pointed out, there was full freedom to do what you wanted to do, where you wanted to do it, right? Like as long as you were meeting your goals, you were meeting your targets, you could be based anywhere. In fact, my 4.5, 5 years at Twitter, I was mostly working out of home. I would go into the office every now and then for whenever we had meetings and so on. But because most of my team was in Bombay and I was in Delhi, I wasn't really required to be in office, so to speak. And most of my work anyway involved meeting partners in news, politics, and government verticals. So I'd be out all day. Elsewhere too, for example, as long as I said, as long as you did what you needed to do, you could do that out of anywhere except for the core engineering functions. What we're seeing fundamentally isn't just a shift in culture. It's a shift in the kind of company Twitter is, right? Yeah. Like what Elon is fundamentally signaling is a change in that. It's gone from being a people's company to being purely what he imagines as an infrastructure and software company, which I'm not sure is an accurate classification as far as Twitter is concerned, given what the USP of the platform is. It's not the tech, so to speak. It's the content on the platform. But it's his company, and if he feels like this business transformation, to implement his business transformation, this is the way to go, he'll do this and find out whether it's worked or not.
And more than the content, it was a community, right? For people who've been on Twitter for the longest time, it was about building a community of like-minded people, and then you, of course, move into different forays, you start following people. So many now feel that true essence of the platform possibly is being compromised. But Manish, my larger issue is, and I find it very difficult to understand, when we saw those mass layoffs, certain reports were suggesting that the workforce had already been reduced anywhere between 70 to 75%. Then you see this mass exodus. So one, what really is left? And can you really run a company with whatever little talent or number of people that are left?
Yeah, I'm also extremely surprised, just as you are. I think if I just do the math, 50% were laid off 2 weeks ago. And of the 50% that remained, 75% have put in their resignation. So what remains of the original is 12.5%, or roughly 87.5% have resigned or have left. So the question is, can the company run with 2.5% of his earlier workforce? My answer to that is it's going to be extremely difficult. And I think many things will start deteriorating in the coming few weeks and months. Already we saw chaos in terms of advertisers leaving the platform, mass impersonation, use of the N-word has gone up in the US, and many other problems, right? So, I mean, there were large teams managing all these affairs. You just can't say that, okay, I'll just run a small engineering team and that will manage the whole app for the entire world. This is a fairly large and complex operations spanning over several dozen countries, right? So my view is it's going to be extremely difficult from here on to get back into shape.
Right, now I want to talk to you about the other big issue, which of course everybody wants to try and wrap their head around of what really is happening, which is this entire verification process. So Elon Musk comes, he fires the top leadership, and then he says these layoffs are important because Twitter needs to be profitable and all that money cannot come from advertisements. Fair enough. Most of the advertisers, as Manish is rightly pointing out, now don't want to be seen anywhere close to Elon Musk. But as far as the authenticity of the brand is concerned, that verification tag was there for a reason. And we've seen what's happened in the last couple of days and weeks. Parody accounts have gone up. You really don't know who the real person is anymore. You know, reporters are also falling for a lot of parody accounts. How do you ensure that the content that is being put out can in any way be moderated?
Well, that's a challenge, right? Like given
Right.
It is also let go of contractors on its moderation team. So 80% of the contractors are gone. Verification at Twitter was never perfect. It was always imperfect, right? But going after that as sort of like your first order of business and completely bungling it up says that this was approached very, very thoughtlessly. Given that truly is Twitter's USP. People who say who they are, putting out news, information, journalists, politicians, actors, film stars, cricketers, you know, the whole league, so to speak, and giving other people the ability to just pay $8 and impersonate anyone who they want to impersonate. What we're fundamentally going to see, he's now been forced to pause this system, right? Like because it was rolled out in such a rush and quite obviously created a lot of chaos. Basically also turning off advertisers off the platform. There is an argument to be made for a subscription service, right? Like that Twitter can build if it has an incredible amount of value for its power users, for sure. But that service needs to be built out very, very carefully. That it needs to be a tiered system of value that I can get as a power user that I'm not getting right now. And it can't be based on destroying the only thing that offsets Twitter from other platforms, which is its user base, the authenticity of its user base. And Manish pointed out earlier that there's a creator set and then there's a follower set, right? Like Twitter has always been a platform where more people listen to what is happening on the platform rather than create content. Compromising the ability of people to create that content and signal in an authentic way that this has been created by the people that they say they are, is really just going after the heart of Twitter. And I really do hope that these thoughts, these aspects are ironed out as he rolls out the new Twitter Blue subscription service.
And you know, my larger concern, and I agree with the point that you're making, Rahil, that what happens to the heart of Twitter or the reason why people wanted to be on this platform. Manish, I'll give you the final word. Do you see this as the beginning of the end for Twitter? Because today there are enough alternatives and more as far as users are concerned. So do you now see this as the beginning of the end for Twitter?
Yeah. See, until yesterday, I was hopeful that, there'll be a bit of a struggle, and I think Elon will figure this out and he will do it at a significant cost to his personal wealth. But after today's event, when I think 75% people have chosen to resign, and I think the way how disrespectfully he has been treating all the employees, I feel that it would be very difficult for things to get back into shape from here. Already people are quite upset, not just the employees, but also the users and power users and celebrities. Advertisers have put the entire thing on pause. So if the whole logic of doing all this was to save cost and be profitable, your entire top line goes away. 90% of revenues of Twitter comes from advertisers, and advertisers are pausing money. They're spending their money on Twitter. So where does this go, right? I mean, it seems like a like a brand name and a shell now.
Yeah.
If things
Where
stop
does this
operating.
go is actually the question in everybody's mind. Unfortunately, I've completely run out of time. Manish and Rahil, thank you so much for taking our time and joining us here. We'll keep tracking all these developments. For now, we're slipping into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with a wrap of all the other news that we tracked right through the day.